Hello, my dear students. Let's start our lesson. My name is Šalmуханова Айнур. I am an English teacher from the secondary school number 7. And the theme of our lesson is my country. Learning objectives that this lesson is contributing to read a growing range of extended fiction and non-fiction texts on familiar and some unfamiliar general and curricular topics. To use comparative degree adverb structures not as quickly as far less quickly with irregular and irregular adverbs. Use an increased variety of preverbal, postverbal, and end position adverbs on a range of familiar, general, and curricular topics. Okay, before starting the lesson, please send me your home task for the checking up. Okay, let's start our lesson with the history of our country. Once upon a time, in the land of Jideli Bison, there was a nobleman called Baybura. He was from the Konrad tribe on the Ortagus, and he was fabulously wealthy. He had vast lands, a lot of gold and silver, houses, horses, and herds of cattle, but he was sad because he was old and he didn't have any children. He prayed and a miracle happened. His wife gave birth to a boy. They called him Alpamas. Baybura invited all his friends for the feast, which lasted 40 days. One of the most important guests was Baysara. He recently had a daughter, Gulbarshan, and he offered his friends Baybura to marry the children when they grow up. Baybura gladly agreed. After several years, there was another big feast with many horse games and competitions. The two friends completed in a cock-bar game, and the Baysara played well, but he lost. He was very angry with the Baybura because he thought his friend played worse and won the game unfairly. Soon after that, Baysara and his family moved to live far away in the Kalmak country. Time passed, and Baybura's son, Alpamas, grew up a strong, brave young man. People compared him with the snow leopard. They said he fought more fearlessly than the other warriors. He could jump higher than anyone else. He ran the fastest too. No one could ride a horse as well as Alpamas could. When he was 14, Alpamas went to his father's stable to choose a horse. He mounted the biggest horse, Bayshabar, and rode for many days and nights. The horse took him further and further into the steppe until they reached the Kalmak country. Finally, the horse stopped on top of the hill. In the distance, Alpamas could see a large army. Then he looked down and saw more words written in a rock on the ground. The first word was his name, but he could see the rest less clearly because the letters were smaller. He got off the horse to read the inscription. It was a message for him from Gulbarshan, Baysara's daughter. Now let's do the task according to this text. Put the events in the correct order. The first, Baysara went to live in the Kalmuk country. Second, Alpamus found a message from Gulbarshan. The third, Baybura's wife gave birth to a boy, Alpamus. Baysara and Baybura played the game of Kokbar. Fifth, Baybura invited Baysara to a big feast. The last one, Alpamus rode the horse Bayshabar. Please send me your answers. And the next task, complete the table with adverb. You should make adverbs from these adjectives below. They are recent, glad, unfair, far, fearless, fast, final, and clear. The next task, complete the rules with one word. The first, we form the comparative of adverbs ending with li, with, and the superlative with most. The second, we form the comparative of other adverbs with are and the superlative with. The third, the adverbs well, badly, and have regular comparative and superlative forms. The fourth, we can use not use as plus adverb plus to compare two actions or situations. And the last one, we can also make negative comparison with and least. Okay, after doing this task, let's check up. And our next task is listening task. Now I will play recording and you task to choose the correct word and complete the sentences.
Track 2.19, Unit 5, My Country, Exercise 5.
Part 2. Alpamis read the message again more carefully. Alpamis, I hope you will read these words before it is too late. The Kalmuk Taichahan is in our village with his Pelevans and his army. He says I must choose one of them for my husband, but I don't want to marry a Kalmuk. There will be horse games and competitions, and I have to marry the man who wins. I heard you have become a great warrior, and I hope you can help me. I sent people to find you, and one night I ran away from the village to write this message for you. Please help me. I am waiting for you. Gulbarshin. When he read this, Alpamis rode straight to the Kalmuk camp. The first man he met was Karajan, one of the Pelevans. He thought Gulbarshin was the most beautiful girl, and he also wanted to marry her. They wrestled, and Alpamis won, but he didn't want to kill Karajan. Karajan became his friend and promised to help him save Gulbarshin from Taichahan. The next day was the first competition, Baiga. The men had to race to Gulbarshin's yurt. When the Han said Alpamis couldn't compete because he was too young, Karajan took his place. He rode the horse Bayshabar. The Kalmuks played unfairly and even injured Bayshabar, but Karajan was still the best rider, and he won the horse race. After that, Alpamis easily won the archery and shooting competitions, and then wrestled Korkadash, the strongest Kalmyk Pehlevan. When Gulbarshin heard that Alpamis was the winner of the contest, she smiled happily and went to tell the good news to her father.
After listening, you may check your answers. Now, let's feedback. I will choose KWL chart, and you should write what you know from this lesson and what you want to know from this lesson and what you learned from this lesson. Write down your answers to this table. So, our lesson is over. Goodbye.